Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. We're excited for this one, aren't we, Peter?
Oh, most definitely, yes.
These two issues that we're covering this week have been looming on the horizon for quite some time as we gradually sort of leave 1976 and slide gently into 1977. And one of the comics we're covering today will be the final comic to be published in 1976 that we will talk about. Very, very exciting. Huge, sweeping continuity shenanigans going on this week involving all sorts of versions of characters from different points in the DC history. It's almost in some ways what this podcast was made for.
Absolutely.
This week we are bringing you Justice League of America number 140 and 141 featuring the Manhunters. Isn't that right, Peter?
It most certainly is.
So kicking off, we're first of all going to look at issue 140 of Justice League of America, published on the 9th of December 1976. Peter will tell us about the cover.
In the top left corner, it's a green DC bullet. Update your spreadsheets. The world's greatest superheroes, Giant Justice League of America. 50 cents, number 140, March, production codes 30555, approved, of course, by the Comics Code Authority. A new double-length thriller! Yes, these Giant comics are very, very, very long. So
yes, and we're doing the now tried and tested part summarising, part dramatic reading format for these two listeners, because to do full reads of all 30-odd pages would probably kill us.
Here we are. Now, it's a very, very dramatic cover. Bursting through a wall and grabbing Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, appears to be a giant in the form of Manhunter, the red-garbed, blue-grey masked Manhunter that we've seen before on the podcast. Rushing in to Green Lantern's aid are some of the members of the Justice League. From left to right, we have Flash, Batman, Black Canary, and Superman. Flash is saying, "Come on, Justice Leaguers, we've got to rescue Green Lantern." But Green Lantern has a difference of opinion, for he's saying,
"No, let Manhunter take me. I'm guilty of the most dreadful crime in the universe."
And at the side, we've got a couple of signatures telling us that this is a Rich Buckler and Frank McLaughlin cover.
Yes, it's a belter, as we say over here. Lots of flames and stuff kicking about, and yes. I'm just going to get it out of the way. It's a bit of a Defenders 39. But it's very exciting, not to worry. So, jumping in, our opening splash page. A door is being smashed off its hinges with an enormous
crash
sound effect as Green Arrow, Black Canary and Green Lantern whirl and look around as a very large-looking gentleman dressed in red with blue gauntlets and blue shorts and a red cowl and a silvery bluey-grey face mask bursts through the door, golden wand in his hand, and announces,
"I have come for you, Green Lantern, and I warn you, no man escapes the Manhunter."
And then there's some captioning.
"No, you haven't missed an issue. This is the bizarre beginning of the most astonishing adventure ever served up to the Justice League of America. And you're getting in where the getting is good."
There's a roll call down the left-hand side.
Superman.
Batman.
Wonder Woman.
Flash.
Green Lantern.
Green Arrow.
Black Canary.
And then, very helpfully, there's a small caption box with the credits for this issue.
Steve Englehart, author. Dick Dillon and Frank McLaughlin, artists. Julius Schwartz, editor.
Green Arrow and Black Canary move forward to confront the newcomer, with Green Arrow saying,
"Holy Hannah, who does this bozo think he is? Busting into the Wayne Foundation and taking us on? Let's show..."
But Ollie is cut off as the Manhunter punches both him and Canary to the ground. It turns towards Green Lantern.
The mysterious Manhunter approaches his target. The Emerald Warrior lifts his power-ringed hand, and...
a very wide-eyed and panic-stricken Green Lantern yells, "I surrender! Take me! I am your prisoner!" As the Manhunter then slaps at Green Lantern, Green Arrow fires a siren arrow to try and break that hold it seems to have on the ring slinger. But the Manhunter snaps the arrow with a karate chop. As Green Arrow and Black Canary move to attack again, the Manhunter zaps them with blasts of pink energy from its golden baton, proclaiming,
"There can be no witnesses to the work of the Manhunter. Such is the code."
Yes, this is the way. And there's a couple of very amusing
Put!
sound effects there. Joyous. The heroes fall unconscious, and as the Manhunter stands over them, we shift outside of the Wayne Foundation to see that Batman is standing on the roof. Batman is wondering where the rest of the Justice League of America are, especially as it was Green Lantern who called an emergency meeting and requested the use of Bruce Wayne's penthouse. Bat suddenly hears a noise in the trees down below and drops to the lower level in time to see the Manhunter carrying the unconscious forms of Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary. The Manhunter sees Batman and says,
"Lion of courage! No one hears a Manhunter when he does not wish to be heard." "The Batman hears. You're good, whoever you are, but a man like me learns to listen, especially at night. Now, just lay my friends down and we'll get out of Bruce Wayne's shrubbery."
A shrubbery.
Wordlessly, the blue-visaged intruder stares into his foe's blank white eyes. Then, with a shrug, he drops the trio.
Yes, there's awful emphatic force as Green Lantern and Canary and Green Arrow fall to the ground. Oops. Batman says,
"What did you call yourself? A Manhunter? What's your relationship to another man I once knew with that name?"
and an asterisk takes us to a caption which reads,
In the classic Detective Comics issue 443, or indeed a previous episode of this podcast.
Absolutely. The Manhunter replies,
Once, long ago, he was a real Manhunter wearing a mask like mine, but Paul Kirk is dead. And now there is only one true Manhunter. Me!
The Manhunter leaps forward towards Batman, and he looks enormous, doesn't he? He looks about twice the size of Batman, which is
it's bizarre.
interesting and very unusual. The Manhunter and Batman tussle, and the Manhunter gets the upper hand, lifting Batman above his head. The Manhunter says,
You won't stop me, Batman. For over 10 centuries, no Manhunter has ever been stopped.
Batman thinks,
His strength matches Superman's.
and the Manhunter continues,
And no Manhunter has ever left a witness to his deeds, except Paul Kirk, and he failed to win his baton. Die, Batman! Die!
and he basically throws Batman away. Turns back to Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary, saying,
So much for him, but this operation has already become too messy. I have to get out of here. So, a slight adjustment to my baton's controls.
He makes the slight adjustment, and a golden sphere surrounds both him and the three heroes. It kind of looks like an upside-down Legion time bubble.
Yes.
Manhunter continues.
And the transfer appears around us to carry us.
And then he looks to his left because flying in, he sees
What? Superman and Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman in her invisible jet, of course. Top of the next page, the Manhunter yells,
Activate Vanishment, now!
and a golden glow surrounds the sphere, just as Wonder Woman says, Superman! And Superman says, I see him, Diana. He's beaten the others, but when he took on this team, he took on a super team.
The Man of Tomorrow rockets forward, leaving the invisible plane to dance in his wake. But is he already too late?
And the sphere vanishes just as Superman reaches for it and says, the bubble's fading, passing into another dimension. This is going to be close. And with a sound effect, he manages to grab one little piece of metal from the outside of the sphere. Wonder Woman, climbing down from a rope ladder from the invisible jet, says, You got a piece of it, Superman? That's not enough, Diana. Quick, call the Flash. The Flash? Why? Just do it, fast. And Wonder Woman then presses her headband, which is something I've not seen her do before, and she replies, All right, but you better have a good reason for this. I don't have to take your orders. I'll call him on the signal device in my tiara, using his special wavelength. The Flash arrives quickly, and Superman hands him the piece of metal he grabbed, saying, Here, I tore this off some dimension-hopping device just as it was spacing out. I've kept it vibrating exactly as it was, but you're more sensitive to that sort of thing than I am. Get the feel of it, then see if you can find any answering frequency anywhere.
Cautiously, the Master of Motion takes hold of the shimmering fragment, begins to sway with it, and then, not unlike a tuning fork, vibrates as one with it.
There's a little golden burst of energy as Wonder Woman observes, He is gone, and Superman says, He'll be back, with some answers, I hope. And at this point, Batman appears, clinging onto the edge of the platform, and Supes and Wonder Woman help him up. We learn that Batman saved himself from plummeting to the ground with the help of a handy flagpole. The Flash returns with news that their target re-entered reality somewhere near Nepal, and the heroes head off, with Wonder Woman taking Bats as a passenger in her jet. There is a slow dissolve.
while somewhere near Nepal...
The Manhunter is shoving forward Green Lantern, Black Canary and Green Arrow into a large room where we see a gentleman with a long purple cape, a gold chest piece, baggy blue trousers, stood in front of a throne which is flanked by two enormous statues of lions, and there are all sorts of weird-looking artefacts and shields and bits and bobs in a Jack Kirby style floating around. This is maybe the point where we say go and quickly listen to our episode number 237, covering first issue special number 5, if you haven't heard that before, because yes, this is the Grand Master. And Green Arrow, recovering from the earlier blast from the Manhunter, is thinking,
Groggy must have given us counter-injection. Drug-fighting drug, with our heads for the arena. And look who's at ringside.
Yes, at ringside it is indeed the Grandmaster, who is addressed by the Manhunter at the first panel of the next page.
Grandmaster, I ask an audience.
Speak, Manhunter.
Sire, I have failed on my first mission.
What?
Sire, I was forced to fight several of the vaunted Justice League. My training did not prepare me for something like that.
Your uniform should have been your strength, Manhunter.
And Manhunter removes his bluey silver face mask, and we see a young brown-haired man underneath who says,
It was, sire, but the man inside, Mark Shaw, failed to utilize it correctly. I panicked, gambled on an escape that didn't succeed.
And seeing his face, a very surprised Black Canary thinks, That guy? That guy beat Hal, Ollie and me?
Mark, you were chosen from among all men to rise to the role of the Manhunter.
And an asterisk takes us to a caption which reminds us what I've just said when it says,
Full details appeared in first issue special issue 5. Julie.
Grandmaster continues.
You were entrusted with a most perilous mission, an assignment from beyond this solar system. You do not realize the damage you have done. Our greatest weapon has always been our anonymity. The long arm of the Manhunter is never expected.
Canary thinks, Enough of this rubbish, and rushes forward, slamming into Manhunter from behind as Green Arrow punches him too. Canary takes another turn as Green Arrow encourages Green Lantern to help them, but the Grandmaster zaps the heroes with his wand, stopping them dead. The heroes all stand slumped as Grandmaster says,
Don your mask, Manhunter, then conduct those 3 to the turbo lock. We'll speak of your transgressions later. For now, I must turn my attention to the defense of our realm.
And Manhunter obliges, putting his mask back onto his face. He still looks quite large here. It's very odd. It looks like a giant. Anyway, he turns to the JLAers and says,
Your colleagues don't stand a chance, even though they are the world's greatest superheroes. I may be new to the Order, but he's been around longer than you suspect. There's nothing the Grandmaster can't accomplish.
Talk is cheap, mister. No menace yet has beaten the JLA, says Canary. But Manhunter replies,
Menace? We're not the menace here. The Manhunter strikes for justice.
Green Arrow says,
Uh-huh. Against the Justice League? Only through circumstance. We meant to battle just Green Lantern. Yeah, so you said, but why? What did he do? Ask him. Then decide where justice lies.
And Manhunter points at GL as he manoeuvres all 3 heroes into a giant metal and glass cage, weird metal framework with large glass panels. They all stand inside, and very sheepish-looking Hal turns away as Green Arrow whispers,
To heck with that. Come on, GL. Turn on that big green love light and cut us free.
I can't.
What do you mean, can't?
I didn't recharge it before its power ran out last night. The ring's just a ring now, nothing more, and I'm no longer Green Lantern. That's why I didn't want to meet out in space.
I believe you. Lord knows you do everything as if your life depended on it. Okay, so you're guilty. Now, tell me, what could you possibly be guilty of that's worth all this uproar?
And a very pained Hal Jordan gets a close-up, looking very uncomfortable, as Green Arrow again urges him to tell him.
Well?
Elsewhere, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman and the Flash have arrived close by. As they discuss the cold, they are suddenly encased in a clear cuboid prison as the Grandmaster reveals himself. Superman fails to escape by tunnelling out, and the cube starts to shrink as the Grandmaster leaves, telling the heroes they have to die to keep the Manhunter Citadel a secret. With 4 minutes before they are crushed, the heroes wonder how they can escape before Batman comes up with an idea. The Flash starts to vibrate, as does Superman, and as Superman adds his power to the Flash, Barry is able to vibrate twice as fast as he ever has before, and with a spring, he is clear of the cube. He zooms around the sky with a before colliding with the Grandmaster, knocking him out, and then collapsing in the snow with a flop. There's a bit of a narrative jump as the Flash frees the others, and they all enter the Citadel with the Grandmaster, who guides them to Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary. Grandmaster encourages Green Lantern to tell the others why he was taken by the Manhunters, and a clearly shaken Hal explains, I was going to tell you at the special meeting and then resign from the JLA. You see, I destroyed a world yesterday, a planet and all its people. It was an accident, but that's no excuse. Green Arrow thinks Green Lantern has been brainwashed by the Manhunters to say all this, but Hal refutes this as the Grandmaster says,
We were contacted by a delegation from the other worlds in the Dead Planet's solar system to bring Green Lantern in. It was simple justice.
There then follows a bit of back and forth about morality and the nature of the Manhunters' work, before Green Lantern gets a couple of pages to fully explain what had occurred. On patrol in space, Green Lantern became aware of a magnetic disruption being caused by a red moon. Meteors were being drawn off course and planets were also at risk, so Green Lantern attempted to blow up the moon with a power bolt. When the bolt struck the moon, the magnetic effect stopped, but somehow the beam ricocheted off and destroyed the planet the moon orbited. Green Lantern concludes, speculating that there was yellow mixed in with the red of the moon, but certain he had wiped out the planet and its inhabitants. Superman determines to investigate what happened for himself, taking Batman, Wonder Woman and Flash with him, and leaving Canary and Green Arrow with Green Lantern. Manhunter Mark Shaw expresses discomfort with caging the JLA members, but the Grandmaster reminds Mark he is to do what he is told. Superman, Flash, Batman and Wonder Woman fly into deep space using a craft built by Supes, Green Lantern and Hawkman. They land on Pinola, the nearest surviving planet to the one Green Lantern destroyed. Superman has been to the system before and has met the governor of Pinola, a chap called Tozad. Batman, Wonder Woman and Flash don goldfish bowl-type space helmets because the air is poisonous on this planet, and immediately they spot that some of the natives are beating up one of the Guardians of the Universe. The Flash zooms in to speed the Guardian to safety, and then Flash asks the locals why they were attacking the Guardian. And the green-skinned, turban-wearing aliens reply,
He is no man. He is a Guardian.
He is one of those beings who sent a Green Lantern to destroy Orinda.
And who are you to interfere anyway?
Superman steps forward to offer some reassurance, saying, Many of you know me. I'm Superman, and these are my friends. We've come to investigate this tragedy. And Tozad steps forward. He also has green skin, wearing what looks like a very normal brown suit apart from the gold belt around his waist and the flames at the lapel and a big purple cape. He's a white headdress held in place around his forehead with a band, and he says,
You are welcome, Superman. All of you are.
Ah, yes, Governor Tozad.
You remember me. I am pleased. I suspected you might come after I contacted the Manhunters to capture the assassin from your world.
Batman asks,
Excuse me, Governor. How did you know of the Manhunters? Knowledge of their cult is an open secret in all the palaces of our system. They are very useful when our own law enforcement agencies fail. You understand our civilization is far older than that of your star, Sun Sol. Neither the Manhunters nor the Guardians have escaped our notice. Now my people are angry, and not without reason. If you have other business here, please be about it, and take the Guardian with you.
The Guardian, little blue-skinned, white-haired, red-tunicked fellow, as I'm sure you'll know, says,
I came here, sir, to seek your aid.
And Soup says, So did we, Governor. We'll need someone to answer our questions.
Very well, then. Let it be me. The sooner the matter is settled and Green Lantern drawn and quartered, the better my people will like it.
There's a slow dissolve.
So, taking once more to the heavens.
You see Batman and Tozad, Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman and the Guardian inside the space rocket that our heroes used to get out to Pinola. Inside the spaceship, Superman says, Why are you involved in this, Guardian? I thought your influence in others' lives was always indirect, and an asterisk takes us to a caption which reads,
So they told him in Superman 247.
Which I think Peter and I did vaguely talk about maybe doing at one point, didn't we?
Yeah,
we
mentioned it
did.
in passing. But we might do it as a flashback at some point, listeners, if you're interested.
Probably not. When we do our Patreon. Anyway, the Guardian replies,
True, But in this instance, the problem involves our means of indirect influence, a green lantern. If the power we grant has been carelessly used, we must know. Were we to be feared, our usefulness throughout the universe would end. That would be a great tragedy. It must never come to pass.
And it must be said, the Guardian looks very Gil Kane in that panel there, doesn't he?
Oh, yes.
Marvellous. There's a slow dissolve.
And as the Man of Tomorrow ponders the vaguely sinister import of the alien's words...
We're back on Earth, back in the Manhunter Citadel, with the Manhunters standing guard over our three colour-coded heroes in their cell, with Green Arrow saying,
Listen, Blue Nose, Halloween's not for a while yet. Why don't you go haunt a graveyard or something?
Silence, Archer.
You can't shut me up. We've seen what's under that mask, a normal human being. It's beyond me why you take orders from an intergalactic goon squad.
You called it, Big Mouth. I was a normal human being.
The Manhunter removes his mask before continuing.
Mark Shaw, public defender, driving myself into the ground to gain justice for the poor, the weak, and getting nowhere. I don't say the Manhunters are perfect. There is no perfection in this jungle we live in, but they get their man. Hell, Green Lantern is guilty, isn't he? So, get off my back. I'm proud to fight for justice any way I can.
And as Manhunter points at GL for emphasis, behind them there is a sudden soundless flash of white energy, and another Guardian of the Universe appears, holding a Green Lantern power battery, and with a Green Lantern ring on his right hand, he fires at Manhunter, knocking him out with a zoot! Green Lantern, in surprise, says, What? A Guardian? And the Guardian moves forward, saying,
Hurry, come to me. I have brought a power battery to recharge your ring. You and your friends must escape.
You don't understand. I let my power run out because...
I understand perfectly, and I'm giving you an order. Charge your ring.
And it holds up the battery. Green Arrow says,
Blue Boy's talking sense, Lantern.
Canary says, Go on, Hal. Despite all his talk, black canaries don't like cages. Gotcha, says GL, and turning to the battery, he says, In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light. And then he says, Now, watch this, and with a
bzack,
he blasts through the glass of the cage. Alarm bells start ringing with a
clang, 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 clang.
And the Guardian fades out quickly, saying,
Pursuit will be swift and unrelenting. Do not allow it to be successful. Farewell.
And he grows transparent and vanishes, as Green Lantern can only say, Wait, Oh, the heck with it. Might as well do my duty. And he grabs Green Arrow and Black Canary by the waist and flies them out through the hole in the cage. Back in outer space, Superman and the others, along with the Guardian and Governor Tozad, investigate the red moon that was the source of magnetic disruption. Superman does some digging of the collapsed Mount Morga and disturbs and unearths a Magnosaurus, a huge, green, one-eyed dinosaur-like creature. Tozad explains,
By the blood of all villains, 'tis a Magnosaurus. We thought them extinct for eons. Legend has it they could draw the metals they feed on directly to their mouths. That's the answer then. GL's blast buried it.
Wonder Woman, Flash and Superman all fight with the creature. Batman attempts to bring it down by wrapping a rope around its neck to cut off his blood supply when he suddenly swings right through the Magnosaur's neck. He yells at the other heroes,
Stop! Stop fighting! You can't fight something that's not really there.
A puzzled Flash says,
What?
And Wonder Woman asks, Not there?
But even as their eyes tell them otherwise, the brains of the Justice Leaguers tend to trust their grim-voiced ally. And, as if by magic...
There is a golden burst of energy and the Magnosaurus fades out, Superman observing, It's vanishing, as Batman says,
Don't you get it, Superman? Don't you see what's wrong with all this? It came to me as I was swinging around the creature's neck, like a moon around a mother planet. We found this moon right where it was supposed to be. Only, it isn't supposed to be here if its anchor is blown to bits.
The heroes and Tozad all look up at the vast void of space above them as Batman continues.
It should be drifting away through space out of its orbit. Unless Orinda is still there, but invisible. When I realized that, I didn't realize the Magnosaurus would disappear, but that's the final proof. Its appearance and Arinda's disappearance are both illusions, and both related.
To which Superman says, when your mind suspended belief in one, it suspended belief in the other. Right. But Green Lantern's ring wouldn't cause that. At this point, the Guardian turns to Tozad and says,
No, my friends, but these people would.
And he reaches forward, pulling open Tozad's tunic to reveal a Manhunter mask on a string around his neck. What? Wonder Woman speaks for us all when she says, Great Ceres, a Manhunter's mask. And Tozad says,
Curse you, Guardian. I thought you knew me despite a lifetime of lying hidden in my governor's role. The Manhunters hide everywhere, on all worlds. As soon as our scheme to discredit the Guardian succeeded, we were ready to strike. But nothing has changed. Billions of people saw our planet annihilated. Nothing you can do will change that. And our day of destiny must come to us sooner. That is all.
Tozad places the Manhunter mask into position on his face as he continues.
I had hoped to destroy you where the Grandmaster failed through your minds. Now others will claim that honor. No man escapes the Manhunters.
And he vanishes in a burst of golden energy. Flash exclaims,
I could have jumped him, Superman.
I know, Flash. I was waiting to hear him out too. This is bigger than I ever dreamed. He's talking intergalactic warfare. The Guardian speaks next when he says,
I wish to communicate as much to you, but I was obliged to await the correct moment. We Guardians suspected the Manhunters of arranging this incident, yet we dared not speak plainly. You had to learn it for yourselves.
A puzzled Batman says,
Why? It's a long story, Batman. Long and painful.
And Flash says at this point,
Then we'll have to hear you out later. First, we have to rescue our 3 friends. This has already been done, Flash, yet they will need assistance. There are more dangers than they know on Earth.
Batman turns to the others, saying,
Go to them, Flash. Wonder Woman, I'll stay here with Superman. We'll see about Governor Tozad and his hidden planet.
And as Flash and Wonder Woman take their leave, Flash says,
Done.
The Guardian opens his hands wide and says,
And good fortune to us all, for we shall need every bit of it in the hours ahead.
There's a quick dissolve, and things climax as we see the Grandmaster standing holding a Manhunter mask in his hands as the caption reads,
But even now, in many lands, on many worlds, men heed the summons of a terrible call, and don their masks of murder. Next, the Guardian's secret, the eons-old curse, Earth at bay in No World Escapes the Manhunters.
Gosh.
Epic.
Yes, wasn't it nice to see the Manhunter from first issue special and the Grandmaster again?
Yes, but my question is, obviously, what exactly happened to the Hog, who the Manhunter was supposed to track down at the end of first issue special? What happened to him?
Oh, that's right. That was supposed to be his first mission, wasn't it?
Yes. Oh, well, perhaps he gets sidetracked tracking down Green Lantern. Put the Hog on hold.
Yes. Maybe Green Lantern attempting to blow up the planet happened simultaneously and he was redirected.
Maybe.
That'll work for a no prize.
Yes.
No, this is great. Peter and I have been talking about this one quite a lot in the preparation before we recorded, and I got very excited about, and we'll get more of it when we go on to the next issue, all of this continuity weaving going on. So this is, when we did the first issue special number 5, we talked about how odd it was that here was another Manhunter that made no reference whatsoever, really, to the other previous Manhunters. And yet, for me, the absolute, says what a sad fanboy I am, for me, the absolute highlight of this one was when Batman says, Manhunter? I met another Manhunter, you're not him. And we get a footnote taking us to a reference to the Walt Simonson and Archie Goodwin series, neatly tying it all together perfectly.
Wonderful. Yes, wonderful stuff. But not mentioning Dan Richards and not mentioning Rick Nelson and not mentioning the Manhunter from Showcase 5.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, once we've read issue 141, we'll come back to some of this.
Oh, yes.
We don't want to discuss all of it before we get the full story, because obviously in the future, there's even more continuity weaving together of all this sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out the Millennium crossover from, 1988, something like that?
Oh, yes. And I'll put my hand up. I really enjoyed Millennium. I know the vast majority of fans didn't, but I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
PC, I'm going to echo and agree with you. What I've read of it, I really enjoyed. I thought it was really quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading it around at the time in the late 92, early 93, when I was getting properly immersed in DC. And it was a really good story to read to kind of broaden your knowledge of the wider continuity. So yes, Justice for Millennium.
Indeed.
Maybe when Peter and I finish the Earth 2 podcast project and do all the Dial H for Hero and Challenger stories, we'll do a sequential Millennium numbered read-through. Wouldn't that be fun? Listeners, if you want us to do that, let us know.
Epic.
Maybe we'll start doing it anyway and release it on alternate Tuesdays. Who can say?
We could do it as a Manhunters coda, let's be honest.
Yes. Yeah, let's do it all after JLE 141. That'd be hilarious. Oh my
Welcome
goodness.
to Millennium season here on the Earth 2 podcast.
Yes. Oh gosh, people would hate that, wouldn't they? So yes, I don't think there's anything much else really to discuss beyond that at this point. Do you agree?
Yeah, there were some lovely character moments in it that I really enjoyed. I like the fact that Hal seemed quite resigned.
Yes.
Literally was going to resign.
Yes.
So much so that he didn't charge his ring, he just let it run out of juice, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then when the Guardian turned up, it was Deus Ex Guardian to break him free from the prison.
Yeah.
If only that could happen every single time he was in a bit of bother. You know, a Guardian could teleport in, say, charge a ring, then teleport back out. Is this Guardian's job? Is he the one that gets all the GLs out of bother? Because the interesting is, it is different from the other Guardian. It's not the same character. It's a second Guardian.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
So
maybe there's a rota.
Could be. Who's on Deus Ex Guardian duty this week?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Appa El Arzo. Okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Just to back up and echo what you're saying about Hal's sort of state of giving up. I mean, Canary and Green Arrow aren't into it. They don't want him to. They're just trying to encourage him and to get back in the groove. There's a lot of good character stuff. I mean, Wonder Woman's still slightly nippy. Yeah. Which is a thing we've seen in recent JLA stories.
Especially against Flash.
Yeah. There's some nice banter between the world's finest team. I noticed there wasn't a footnote which said where Superman had met Governor Tozad and when he'd been to Panola before. So I wonder if that's something that's been invented.
I think that might be an untold tale.
Yeah.
When we write our DC comic, we'll give the secret origin of that relationship.
Absolutely. But I think for me, the main thing at this part is just we're starting to see things being drawn together. We don't want to preempt too much some of the revelations for part two, but it's interesting just seeing the first issue special Manhunters being drawn into the mainstream DCU, because at the time, we both really enjoyed that issue and really wanted to know what happened next, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting series, and there was an awful lot of untapped potential.
Exactly. There's so much in first issue special that basically no one did anything with.
Yeah.
For years and years and years. I mean, obviously the Manhunters pop up here. Starman eventually pops up in Starman. Tom King got everyone else and did it all in Danger Street.
That's right.
The only one that really had any kind of success in ongoing series was Warlord.
Yeah.
Which is weird, come to think of that.
Yeah.
We got the Yanks out of it for Dr. Fate, but that's pretty much all that came from Dr. Fate.
Yeah, and it's a shame there was a lot of interesting stuff. But yes, it's good to see it being addressed. Right, so shall we quickly jump to the letters for issue 140?
Let's do so. So we'll skip forward to issue 144 in the JLA mailroom, and the first letter is from an absolute legend. And it says, Dear Sirs, to say I'm impressed would be an understatement. On his first double-length outing, Steve Englehart has pumped new blood into the JLA more efficiently than the paramedics on emergency. No Man Escapes the Manhunter in issue 140 was the best single issue I have ever read, and I've been reading steadily since issue 6. And the reason is Mr. Englehart. Characterization has never been a strong point at DC, particularly on the archetypal superheroes. However, Steve has a keen insight into what makes each character tick, and has done a marvellous job with them in this issue. Wonder if that's an intended pun, marvellous job.
I think it might be.
Particularly extraordinary was his handling of the Flash, a character who has had no apparent personality for nigh on 20 years.
Harsh.
Realising this, Steve says that Barry Allen is, after all, just another Midwestern yokel who happens to have super speeds. Not at all at home with an Amazon, he is also still in awe of the mysteries of space. Yeah, we're definitely getting some references put in here. Anyway, Green Lantern was handled just as deftly, particularly as a man with the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. GL's blow up at Green Arrow and his subsequent remark about said action eating me alive all seemed so real. Superman is portrayed as larger than life, the pseudo-god that he is. You can tell that there's a certain amount of disappointment as well as disbelief when he admits to Batman that he can't escape the energy trap of the Grandmaster. You can tell there's a certain amount of authority, the authority of a man who is used to always being listened to, when he addresses the Pindians with, "Many of you know me, I'm Superman." And yet he's still human to make a playful remark to old friend Batman about brainstorming with him and Bruce Wayne. The Batman was portrayed as the grim detective he is, and though the spotlight wasn't on him this issue, I eagerly look forward to a starring role in one of Steve's epics. Englehart's Wonder Woman intrigues me. She seems much more aloof than ever before, though I have a feeling there is definitely an underlying reason for her behaviour that will be explained in time. Possibly the fact that her ongoing series has been taken away and given to her Earth 2 version. Anyway.
Yes.
Her constant remarks about man's world is much more in keeping with a side of the character that seems to have been forgotten in recent years. Her quick assertion, "and women," to the Grandmaster concerning hers and Dinah's identities was perhaps the most shining example of sterling characterisation. Thus far I have deigned to speak on the characterisation, because I am head over heels about it. However... And that's from, as I said, absolute legend, Fred G. Hembeck from Custer Street, Buffalo, New York. Oh, Fred, how we love you.
He published his home address, can you believe it?
Yes.
Editorial response reads, "We'd like to have printed all of your superb letter, but your praise of Steve Englehart's plotting ability would have filled this entire page. So instead, let's let a couple of other readers have a say. Bob Bozakis." Next letter then reads, "Dear Julie, Nelson and Bob, sometime, somewhere, Steve Englehart's mother should have sat on her knee and said, 'Son, one day you're going to get into trouble trying to reconcile too many things in one story.' JLA 140 should have come with a guidebook or something. Look at all the territory it covered. Green Lantern and the Guardians, the Manhunters, Paul Kirk's relation to the latter group, and Batman's relation to Paul Kirk. Good grief! But don't get me wrong, I liked the story. The plot, though involved, was very good. Suspense was built up nicely throughout the story, coming to a climax with the revelation that the Governor was a Manhunter. Steve writes pretty too, but he has a tendency to become overly enamoured with words. There were a number of places in the story where the dialogue was unnecessary and cluttered, rather than clarifying. Some of the speeches were just too long and pompous. That's why I summarised them, dear listeners. But on the other hand, much of the dialogue was very good, and that's why we read some of it, listeners. Characterisation was 100% better this issue. Steve was trying to make people out of our superheroes and not doing a bad job either. And that's from Beth Montalone, Rochester, New York. No editorial response, but the next letter goes like this.
Yes, "No Man Escapes the Manhunter" is a knockout of a tale. Among Steve Englehart's greatest talents is his ability to take already existing characters and concepts and fill them with new life and vitality. Here he's taken Jack Kirby's rather uninspired reworking of Manhunter and turned him into a member of a sinister intergalactic organisation, the likes of which have never been seen in a Schwartz-edited mag. The size of the conspiracy, the breadth of their plans, the number of scenes set in other worlds and in space, and spectacles like the destruction of a planet give this story an epic dimension comparable to the best JLA, JSA team-ups. So says Peter Sanderson from Columbia University, New York, New York.
Brief editorial response that we'll mention here says, "Despite the fact that all three of this issue's letters came from New York-based readers, let us assure you that we received overwhelming praise for Steve's work from every part of the country and places outside the old US of A as well." That's an interesting point here, actually, because Peter Sanderson there mentioned the JSA. I suppose this is further evidence that Manhunters were on Earth 1 as opposed to Earth 2.
Yes, very true. Or at least a form of them definitely were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Right, listeners, Peter and I are going to quickly go and refresh ourselves, and we'll be right back with issue 141. And welcome back, everyone. That was a nice break. We now move on to issue 141 of Justice League of America, published on the 6th of January 1977. And Peter has the gift of a job now of telling us about the cover.
It's wonderful. It's a green DC bullet in the corner. Again, update your spreadsheets. It's a plain white background. There's a city in the far distance, but to be honest, you wouldn't know. You don't even notice it.
This is true.
It's a giant Justice League of America, 50 cents, number 141, April, production code 30555, approved, of course, by the Comic Code Authority. An all-new double-length novel. So, it's striking. Now, we said for issue 140 that Manhunter looked like a giant.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we've got two Manhunters on the cover here, and they both look like giants. They are attacking the Justice League. One of them is grabbing Superman by the torso, and he looks massive.
Yeah.
He looks at least twice his size.
At least.
One in the background has got Hal Jordan Green Lantern. He's got him in his hand fully. He's got him up in the air. It looks like he's going to throw him down and smash him against the ground or something.
Sure.
Green Arrow's trying to save him by firing an arrow at him, but it's just ricocheting off of his chest plate. Batman's in the background, and he's being zapped by the baton being blasted by the one in the rear. So high action, high octane. The Manhunter at the front is saying, "You have been sentenced to die, Justice Leaguers." And the one in the rear says,
"And we are your executioners." The Executioners, of course, is the name of episode 1 of the Doctor Who story, The Chase, the one that features the only surviving material of that particular performance of Ticket to Ride by the Beatles. And I'll shut up now.
And of course, it's a Rich Buckler and Frank Springer cover. Yay.
Yes, I like this cover. It's got a bit of the Dutch tilt to it, if you angle it slightly.
Yes.
But yeah, these Manhunters, they're huge. These are clearly giant robot Manhunter type things. I mean, especially as you say, that one that's grabbed Hal round the waist.
Uh-huh.
That's more than twice the size of a regular. That's like 3-4 times the size of a regular human.
They're almost like Marvel Sentinels in this.
Yeah, aye. Gosh. So, right, there's someone do a Sentinels Justice League mashup using this cover, please.
Roberto Coltrane, we're looking at you. That's very much the sort of thing you would do.
Super Team Family Guy, Ross, you can have a bash at that if you like. I like this cover. I think I like it slightly more than the other one just because it's just a little bit brighter, I suppose. But again,
sure. Mm-hmm.
The white background is kind of weird because it's so white at the top and then the city, as you say, I've owned this for years and it was maybe only this morning that I noticed there was a couple of buildings in the background. But I suppose the white background makes all the colours of the shield and the costumes sort of pop. So maybe it's quite effective for that.
That's very true.
And by having a bit of pavement and some foliage and some buildings, it at least looks slightly better than that Justice League cover that I wasn't too impressed with at the start of the year.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that, sir.
Phew. Well, that's all right then. So, kicks off with a nice drawing of a Manhunter sort of peering out of the panels that he's in and looking down at some other panels. Let's have some captions.
What single menace could stalk the mighty Justice League of America? Through every corner of the galaxy, on a distant world.
And we see Superman and Batman walking across a sort of pink outer space landscape.
In space, flying toward Earth.
And we see a small yellow space vessel bearing the Flash and Wonder Woman speeding back down towards Earth on what looks like a pink moon. Nick Drake has been in the building, hanging in the air behind them.
And in the Himalayan mountains.
And we see Green Arrow, Green Lantern and Black Canary making their way through some very rough terrain.
Something tells us that sneering man above has more than a minor hand in it. And if that seems reasonable to you, turn the page and learn why... No world escapes the Manhunters.
Then we get the credits.
Story, Steve Englehart. Art, Dick Dillon and Frank McLaughlin. Colour, Jerry Serp.
Excellent. So, into the story. As Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary make their way through the mountains, they are unaware that Manhunter Mark Shaw is tracking them. They discuss the change in Mark when he put his Manhunter mask on in the previous issue. Green Lantern tells us that they flew 200 miles under his ring power, and he thinks that they are far enough away from Shaw for him to catch them. But Ollie is obviously a bit sceptical and then gets proved right when Shaw catches them up, drops down and takes out GL with a whomp. All of that over a beautiful 2-page spread, it must be said. Some lovely stuff in this issue. Green Lantern takes a few more punches as Manhunter info dumps that he tracked him using his transphere. Canary makes a grab to pull off his mask, but an electrical charge sends her flying. An enraged Green Arrow takes a punch, but Manhunter zaps him with his baton. As Manhunter zaps at Ollie again, Green Arrow says,
"One thing about wearing a full face mask, you're mighty dependent on those little eye holes. That's something you should have copped to in your 10 glorious centuries. I copped to it the moment I first made a costume."
And an asterisk takes us to a helpful caption which reads,
In Adventure Comics issue 256, Julie.
Maybe Chuck will cover that on the Boxing Club Arrow podcast. Well, that'd be nice as a sort of adjunct to this one. No pressure, Chuck, I promise. Green Arrow pulls an arrow, fires it at Manhunter, and it explodes, casting black gloop all over his face, all over his head. Manhunter can't see through the molasses, wink to camera, but is able to follow Green Arrow by his scent and the sound of his breathing. Oh my goodness. Grabbing hold of the archer, the Manhunter starts to throttle him. Behind him, a recovering Black Canary gets to her feet and despite still being in pain, she unleashes her sonic cry, making Manhunter release Green Arrow. Green Lantern puts the icing on the cake by knocking Manhunter out with a power ring generated fist and a
whap!
Knowing that they'll need help, Green Lantern sends a Justice League alert signal using his power ring.
Using the tiny transceiver hidden in his power ring, the Emerald Crusader beams a signal on the JLA secret wavelength. But the long minutes that follow are as silent as the grave.
Yes. See Hal looking at his ringed hand, and it's weird, his gloves seem to have vanished in this and the previous panel. And Hal is saying, "Strange. I know Hawkman's on a space mission, while Aquaman, Elongated Man, and the Atom sent word they couldn't make the meeting I called last night. But at least one of them should have responded to this." And Green Arrow says,
"Maybe they've got troubles too."
And then an asterisk reads,
"As we'll see next month." Julie. Sneaky Julie.
"Maybe. Well, our only hope now is for the rest of the JLA to return Earthside. I hope they show up at Satellite HQ soon." And as Hal says that, we see the space vehicle bearing Flash and Wonder Woman returning to the satellite. Flash and Wonder Woman discuss what's going on, and Flash feels tongue-tied by Wonder Woman's dismissive attitude towards him. Wonder Woman does some helpful summing up. "Horrible, isn't it? The Manhunters turning out to be evil. I'd almost believed their story of being on the side of justice until the Guardian straightened us out. Now, with Superman and Batman out in space and us here, we have to head off a galactic war." And then Flash is distracted. He looks to his left and says,
"Wait a minute. What's that?"
"That blinding light from outside," says Wonder Woman, and then suddenly appearing in front of them is he says who he is.
"I, the Grandmaster, declare you my prisoners. That light marks the formation of an impenetrable sphere around your satellite."
And he almost pauses as the Flash speeds towards and then through him.
"No, Flash, you cannot harm me. What you see here is merely a projection."
And we pull back, our perspective shifts to see that the real Grandmaster is watching what's going on a huge video screen. Everything he says is relayed to Flash and Wonder Woman via the projected image.
"My sphere has entrapped you, and this time Superman is not available to aid in an escape. I had hoped to avoid the Justice League, or failing that, to deceive you, but a report from Governor Tozad has alerted me to your discoveries regarding us. In time, my Manhunter will recapture your colleagues. Meantime, I shall attend to you in my own fashion. The sphere blocks all sunlight from your satellite's solar cells. Within 11 minutes, all heat and air will cease. After that, you will trouble me no longer. Hail and farewell to worthy adversaries."
Yes, and after a shot of the JLA satellite surrounded by this energy sphere, the image of the Grandmaster fades out. Flash comes up with an idea to escape by repeating the added speed and vibration trick that he and Superman pulled last issue, but this time using the space rocket that Flash and Wonder Woman have just been using. It doesn't work. The rocket is wrecked, and we leave Wonder Woman tending to the Flash, who caught the worst of the rocket exploding, and now isn't breathing. With a little only 4 minutes remaining, we cut back to outer space, with Superman and Batman. They reason that when Tozad faded out at the end of the last issue, they had teleported to the planet Orinda. Superman flies out to try and find Orinda, but returns unsuccessfully, and Batman tells him what he hadn't realised, that Supes had flown in a wide detour. Batman hypothesizes about mass hypnosis, and Superman concludes that Orinda has to be there. Supes turns to the blue-skinned old man from Oa and says, "You, Guardian, what do I call you anyway?"
"Guardian will suffice. That is what I am."
"Right. You told us you knew the story behind all this. Isn't it time to fill us in?"
"Yes, it is. Although, as I've said, it is a painful story for my race. One we hoped would never need telling. You see, we Guardians are responsible for the Manhunters' madness."
Batman thinks,
His voice, so grave.
almost as grave as Batman's. Now, this is good. I get to put my feet up a little bit for the next couple of pages, as Peter gets to do an awful lot of exposition. You love that, don't you, Peter?
Always.
So, the next couple of panels are all rippled flashback, and we begin on a shot of the giant central power battery on Oa.
Eons past, one of our own race brought evil into the universe. He was punished, and we set out to combat the wrong that he had created.
And an asterisk takes us to a caption which reads,
as told in The Secret Origin of the Guardians, Green Lantern issue 40, October 1966, Julie, or indeed an early episode of our podcast.
Very much so. The Guardian continues.
Yet, we were not physically adapted to become superheroes. We possessed even then our central power battery, but diverting part of its might into preparing our frail forms for combat would lessen its effectiveness as a weapon. Therefore, we resolved to create androids as our warrior core. These creatures would resemble us, but also possess the attributes we lacked. We divided into groups of 2 and 3, each according to his special expertise, to develop our perfect creature. And when we had finished, we felt what might be termed great pride in our Manhunters.
And there's a couple of panels of some Guardians building the torso of a Manhunter, one Guardian tending to what looks like the right foot. A couple of, they look like Jawas here to my eyes, but that's probably because I've started watching The Mandalorian from the start again. A couple of Guardians carrying the hand of one of the Manhunters, and then we see the final robot stunning, towering over all the little men. Clearly some kind of giant mannequin as opposed to a normal human-sized android. We cut back to Bats, Soups, and the Guardian. Bats exclaims,
"You're Manhunters? Androids?" We were millions of years younger then, and less experienced. Equipping each of our Manhunter Corps with a stun gun and miniature battery, we dispatched them to the most savage sectors of space.
And there's a great shot of a bunch of Manhunters flying out into space carrying little green pistols. Tremendous.
Whether facing advanced societies or primitive barbarians, our Manhunters performed flawlessly. Each was a hero worthy of the name, and justice flowered once more among the stars.
And indeed, to illustrate this point, we see one Manhunter knocking lumps out of some men in futuristic armour wearing sort of headsets that make them look a little bit like Cyclops from the X-Men. And then we see another Manhunter throwing some kind of skin-wearing caveman-type figure over a cliff while a couple of his pals stand behind them waving spears. Gosh, right, okay. The narration resumes.
But then they began to change. Some of us believe it was due to the alien suns they lived under. Others theorize we had created them with the flaw.
And we see a group of about half a dozen Manhunters standing on a rocky planetary surface, and one of them, obviously making a point because he's got his finger pointing in the air and he's waving his gun around, is saying,
"Brothers, since we are the Guardian Superiors, we should not, no, must not, serve them."
One of the other Manhunters says, "They do nothing, while we risk our lives daily."
"But they have the great battery, the source of our power."
And then the first Manhunter returns when he says,
"We can take that power. Then we will live like monarchs without having to risk our lives."
"He is right," chips in one of the others. "We have been there, warriors, long enough."
Sadly, we had long since ceased monitoring them. So satisfied were we. Thus, we were unaware of their treachery till they attacked Oa.
Oh, and a very dynamic shot of a couple of the Guardians looking appalled as they run away from a bunch of Manhunters who are flying down to attack. Obviously, one Manhunter pointing, giving direction to the others, probably the same guy we saw a moment ago, and he is saying,
"Seize the council chambers, take possession of the power battery."
And then we see a shot of the power battery, and the Guardian's narration continues.
We were no match for them. They might well have succeeded, but for one crucial factor of which they had no knowledge. When their leader reached the central battery and attempted to recharge his gun from it as a mark of victory...
And that's what we see, this one Manhunter flying up towards the battery.
The power overload blew out every weapon on Oa.
Yes, there is an extraordinarily huge Fazam! Sound effect bursting out of the power battery, and then we see the guns in the hands of the Manhunters shattering. Top of the next page, top of page 15 if you're reading along. We see some Manhunters standing, obviously slightly injured by what's going on, and 3 Guardians beholding them. One Guardian saying,
"Now you know why we gave you such a small battery to draw from."
And one of the others says, "The green beam of power is infinite in potential. No single weapon is strong enough to hold so much energy."
"Now, I suppose you will destroy us,"
says one of the Manhunters, and the Guardian replies, "No, we do not destroy if there is an alternative. You will be banished to live as ordinary men without your power and without further contact from us."
After they were returned to the worlds they had inhabited, we set out to rectify our mistake, and soon developed the idea of choosing intelligent beings throughout the cosmos. Beings who had been born, not made, and who, after facing all the temptations of life, had still remained completely honest.
And we see a couple of Guardians, starting with a very pleasant-looking blue-skinned fellow in a purple and black unitard, which kind of echoes the reboot Legion of Superheroes uniforms from the mid-90s. They're handing him a gun, obviously, because they're getting him involved. And the narration continues.
These became the predecessors of our Green Lantern Corps.
And we cut back to the Guardians standing with Batman and Superman as he continues.
They proved to be a success. Their corps continually renewed has served the cause of justice to this very day.
I'll admit, Hal Jordan is the most honest and fearless man I know, says Supes. And then Batman says,
That's what got him in this trouble in the first place. When he thought he destroyed Orinda, he went to pieces. That is the horror of our predicament, Batman. While we were developing more perfect heroes, our original creations were continuing to plot against us. It took the Manhunters centuries to find a way to overcome our tremendous advantages. Centuries during which they continued to ply the only trade they knew, though the hunting of men degenerated into an end in itself.
And there's a shot of a few Manhunters chasing a couple of bare-chested chaps with long hair and big hoop earrings and moustaches. It looks actually like they've gone to a Thin Lizzy concert, if you ask me. The narration resumes.
All thoughts of honour, nobility, left them. Even as the original blue tint of their synthetic skins faded away, they donned blue masks, became a cult of fanatics instead of an army of warriors.
And over a shot of 4 Manhunters, we can see that the face of one of them has gone literally snow white, no colour to it at all, and they're all fixing into position the same blue mask that the Mark Shaw Manhunter has been wearing in the story.
And now they have struck at us once again, using their replacements, the Green Lantern Corps, to ruin us. We Guardians cannot be overthrown by force now, but if our motives and methods become suspect, we will be no less defeated.
Of course. Once everyone, including GL, had been tricked into believing he could use his great power wrongly, no world would allow you to operate on it.
And doubtlessly the Manhunters would be right there to step in and take over from you.
I could not tell you this earlier. You first had to discover the deception for yourselves. After all, this entire galaxy witnessed the destruction of Orinda.
One last thing. Why did the Manhunters choose Orinda for their scheme?
Because, Batman, it is their central command post, just as Oa is ours. Who would seek the villains in the victims? Who except the Justice League of America?
Come on, Batman. Let's work up a plan, and then go beat their socks off, says Supes. Fantastic. There's a quick slow dissolve.
Some heroes take on whole planets. Others fight smaller, more lonely wars.
And we're back with Flash and Wonder Woman outside the satellite, where they just tried to escape using a space rocket. Flash unconscious on a gantry. Wonder Woman reaching around him to try and wake him up. They're both still wearing their space helmets. Wonder Woman is saying, "Come on, Flash, breathe. I can't give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation out here, but this should work just as well. Please understand. I'm sorry for giving you such a hard time. It was just, I had no confidence in myself when the Justice League asked me to rejoin. I needed to prove myself to you all." An asterisk takes you to a caption which reads,
As recounted in Wonder Woman issue 212. Julie.
and alluded to in one of our recent Wonder Woman episodes. Wonder Woman continues. "By the time I was ready to rejoin, I had regained my confidence, but none of you realised that. The members kept watching me, watching out for me. I guess subconsciously I started putting you down because I had to reassert myself. And you, Barry, were the easiest target. After so many years of marriage, you're so chauvinistic." And Flash starts to wake up at this point. He makes a very good sound as Wonder Woman continues. "Athena be praised, he's coming round." She helps Flash to his feet. Flash says,
What time is it?
"Time?" exclaims Dee Dee, and then she thinks, "Hera, help us. I put that problem out of my mind while I worked on him." And looking over, you can see a clock which shows 4 minutes and 26 seconds, which is basically what it said the last time we saw them. But the Flash says at this point,
Good Lord, there's only 3 minutes left. I should have known the rocket's speed wouldn't mean anything without Superman's special vibration. This is all my fault.
yes, they've lost a minute and a half there, listeners, between the clock turning up and then Barry looking at it. Extraordinary. So, with a few minutes left, it's up to Wonder Woman to save the day with the help of the beak-faced purple alien, Darlu, from issue 130. Who saw that coming? Did you see that coming, Peter?
Yes, of course.
Oh, all right. Do you read the comics in advance or something?
Occasionally.
Wonder Woman remembers that Darlu had absorbed some of Flash's speed, so Diana is then able to achieve the results that Flash had hoped for with the rocket. With the sphere gone, they place Darlu back into hibernation and back into continuity. Does Darlu ever pop up again? I don't remember.
I don't remember Darla coming back, no.
When we write our DC comic.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana and Barry turn their attention to finding Green Lantern and the others before Grandmaster checks on them again. And speaking of the Grandmaster, we cut now back to Earth, and where we see the unconscious Mark Shaw Manhunter being stamped on the face with a boot and encouraged to wake up.
Get up! Get up, you fool!
And we pull back to see that not only is Grandmaster standing next to Mark Shaw, who's now waking up, but there's also another Manhunter who's not wearing his silver blue face mask. We can see that he looks a little bit craggier, a little bit older. As Mark starts to stand up, the Grandmaster makes another big wide sweeping gesture with his hand and says,
On your feet, Mark Shaw! Events are in motion. I cannot waste any more time in capturing the Justice Leaguers, so I have dispatched my previous hunter to assist you.
And then this is when Mark stands up and sees that the older man, who we also met in first issue special number 5, has rejoined the fray. Mark says,
But you retired. I replaced you.
Yes, but your performance thus far has pressed me back into service.
You will not fail again, young Manhunter. Or Manhunter Prime will consider you his quarry. Is that understood?
Yes, Grandmaster. We will win this time.
And it looks as though Mark is bowing in this next panel, as with another flash of energy, the Grandmaster fades out, saying,
Good. Now let's see what a veteran tracker can do.
There is a slow dissolve.
And on the planet Orinda, at the headquarters of the Manhunters...
Yes, now, quickly describe this panel. It's a very wide open, very modern-looking outer space office-type building with shiny floors. There's a view out the windows of the mountains. There's a big table, there's some green panelling on the wall, and we see Tozad with his back to us, but we know it's him because of his headdress and his purple cape, and he's standing next to another fellow wearing a sort of orange armour and a blue cape, the yellow belt. He's also got blue skin. We can see he has a moustache. And there's a younger chap in an orange tunic and blue boots bounding in who says, Governor Tozad, High Master! And the chap in the orange armour, who we now know as the High Master, responds saying, What is it, Belak? High Master, the Terrans are at the city walls. The Terrans? Impossible! Our planet is hidden. Then Tozad says,
With all respect, High Master, having dealt with these people, I'd put nothing beyond their capabilities. They almost captured me, and that's no simple affair.
Very well. Call out all troops. I'll crush them like insects. Come, Tozad, let us observe the action. And then they move out onto the balcony outside their building and look down to see Superman and Batman knocking lumps out of some Manhunters, and High Master cries, By the prime source! As Superman and Batman battle and banter, the High Master gives the order to summon Project Kappa, which to me just makes me think of Ned's and...
Put all the trackies on.
Oh yes, and tracksuits.
Tracksuits and shell suits and all, yes.
Amazing. Batman observes that the Manhunters are piling on him and leaving Superman alone, and Clark considers barging ahead when he is suddenly tackled by a giant blue-masked figure in green armour who proclaims,
No, Superman, no. First you must face the Super Manhunter.
Supes is appalled to realise that the green armour is made of kryptonite, and he weakens and collapses immediately. Batman rushes to help but gets swatted away. Superman manages to say, Batman, remember your mission. Forget me. And Batman shrugs off the Manhunters attacking him, and with a cry of,
All right. All right.
leaps clear as the Super Manhunter orders the Manhunters to follow and catch the Dark Knight detective. Elsewhere, Wonder Woman and Flash transmat down to Earth close to where Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary, who we haven't seen since page 7, are battling a Manhunter. Wonder Woman rushes forward to help Green Arrow, but as he warns her, another Manhunter appears and zaps her from behind. Barry Flash rushes to help too, but in an astonishing demonstration of power, both Manhunters are able to grab him by an arm each, stop his speed, and then knock him out. An image of Grandmaster appears and orders the Manhunters to bring all 5 heroes to headquarters. Back on Orinda, Batman has managed to evade capture and swings to the roof of the High Master's HQ. Down below, Project Kappa lifts Superman's body above his head as the High Master says, "Halt! Do not kill Superman yet, Project Kappa. We may need him as a hostage." And we're continuing the second page following, but we pass a full page advertisement for for the next $2 comics, including World's Finest and GI Combat. And yes, pay close attention because we will be reading from issue 244 of World's Finest before you can say Jack Robinson. Over the page, Batman ducks into the building and through a doorway, thinking,
Good. I doubt any Manhunter could do better, but I haven't lost them for long.
Suddenly appearing in front of him, in the middle of a giant flash of energy, is the disembodied head of the Guardian, who says,
Batman, remember what I told you about Orinda? I remember, Guardian.
And then there's a slight difference to Batman's speech bubble, which will be explained imminently as Batman communicates.
I remember. Sorry for talking out loud. I'm not used to conversing by telepathy.
So the Guardian was obviously speaking by telepathy when he appeared. That's good. Guardian replies,
Never mind. I am not used to a hero who fights so well without superpowers.
So there's a tiny bit of a narrative leap here as Batman, obviously having received some instructions, jumps through a sort of window doorway thing onto a gantry, thinking,
I'll do my best.
And down below him are another group of Manhunters, with the lead one saying, Be on your guard, Manhunters. The Batman will doubtless try to find this installation. In reply, another one says,
Let him come. We guards of the inner sanctum will rent him apart.
Aye, exclaims another one.
Down with the Earthman,
says yet another Manhunter, and another one concludes with, Slay him! But then Batman leaps down from the gantry above towards them, saying,
Well, here I am. Are you ready to try your rending?
And he starts getting stuck in as one of the other Manhunters says, Batman, stop! Stop, I say, or Superman will die!
I'm fighting for far more than one life now, Manhunter. To use terms you can understand, I'm fighting for power. Power to rule the universe.
And we see that Batman has probably aimed himself cleverly here to land beside a very important-looking bit of machinery, which has a very important-looking button on it. He reaches forwards towards it.
And I'm fighting to keep it from you.
Don't let him touch that switch, says one of the Manhunters.
While?
And we see Manhunters bringing in the unconscious forms of Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Black Canary, Wonder Woman, as the Grandmaster stands waiting for them. One of the Manhunters says, Grandmaster, we crave an audience.
Come in, come in. I welcome your return, but I cannot speak with you now.
And he's looking at some screens, which have some nice pink squiggles of energy all over them. He continues,
I am receiving reports from every corner of this world and relaying them to our central command. Everything is proceeding perfectly. Our hidden agents, though not formal warriors, have wrought great deeds, and...
He's interrupted. One of the screens bursts into life and we get a shot of the High Master who yells, Alert! Alert!
Orinda's moon! 'Tis the High Master himself!
Grandmasters of all worlds, we have suffered a terrible defeat. The Terran Batman has destroyed our Illusiotron. Orinda is visible once more. And we see Orinda hanging in space with the crowds of people, presumably, on Pinola, looking up at it, and it looks very, very close to Pinola, doesn't it, Peter?
It certainly does. It must wreak havoc with our tidal activity.
Absolutely. I wonder what it does to the weather. Interesting. Paging Laura Tobin. Anyway, the Grandmaster responds,
Balnath and Ragmaton! Then the universe knows the planet was not destroyed. The Green Lantern and the Guardians are innocent. We'll be hounded throughout the galaxies. Our secrets have been exposed. For nothing. But we will take what satisfaction we can.
And he turns to some of his Manhunter foot soldiers and says,
Manhunters, destroy those Justice Leaguers.
But they don't move.
Well, what are you standing there for?
And one of the Manhunters, surprisingly, reaches up and removes his blue face mask to reveal Barry Allen the Flash, who says,
The game is up, Grandmaster.
The Flash? This cannot be. I saw you fall.
You saw me fake it, so I could get the chance to KO your old Manhunter and change places with him at super speed. A switch of gloves and boots, and everyone thought he was me.
Yes, and there's a nice flashback to Barry doing just that. And again, the Manhunter looks enormous, just stood next to the Flash. It's very odd. We'll have to see if anyone comments on this in the letters.
Yes, must be a one-size-fit-all outfit, I think.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see in the next panel that another Manhunter has removed his helmet and mask to reveal Green Lantern Hal Jordan inside, who's saying, "And it was a simple matter to powering a phony costume for each of us on the way back here." And over the next panel we see Green Lantern using some powering jiggery-pokery to swap him and the Manhunter's costumes back to what they should be. Mark Shaw puts a hand up to his head and says,
I failed the final time, only to hear that all I've been fighting for, all the grand and glorious lore I've been told about the Manhunters, all the dreams I gave up my life for, all of this is lies!
And he lunges towards the Grandmaster, who twirls and says,
What?
and then slaps him away with a
Bam!
saying,
Insolent squirrel! You dare lay your hands on me? I am the Grandmaster, sovereign lord of all Earth.
And as Manhunter and Grandmaster square up to each other, Hal moves forward, but Barry stops him, the hand on his shoulder, saying,
Stay back. Let Mark Shaw handle this.
Mark Shaw Manhunter then says,
You're a fraud, old man. You talked of justice, the thing I love most in the world, and made me throw away my values to get it in the name of some higher good.
The Grandmaster pulls out his baton and points it at Mark, saying,
Stay back! Do not force me to kill you!
but Mark doesn't stop, he keeps moving, and so the Grandmaster fires on him with a saying,
I warned you!
he then fires again, but Mark ducks out of the way of the blast, grabs hold of the Grandmaster, shoving him back.
Ah!
Mark says,
Kill me if you can, old man. Kill me before I kill you.
and he grabs hold of the Grandmaster's wrist and twists it so that he drops his, well, it goes flying. He says,
My baton!
Mark starts to punch and pound on the Grandmaster as Green Lantern steps forward saying, That's enough, Manhunter.
Sit in it, Lantern. It'll never be enough. Not until I...
But then he's interrupted by a colossal... It's a huge explosion. Oh my goodness, have we lost another Manhunter? There's another Manhunter dying at the climax of a saga. Oh my goodness, that's terrible.
Don't worry, another one will be along in 2 minutes' time.
Yes. Top of page 32, if you're reading along, listeners, you can see the Flash and Green Lantern sitting up, and Flash points it all out for us when he says,
Good God, the Grandmaster blew up.
My ring protected me. The Manhunter's uniform saved him. And we see, well, helpfully, Manhunter Mark Shaw says,
But I don't understand. He wasn't an old man. He was an android. I've been following the orders of a lifeless machine.
And we see the Flash's boot and Manhunter's boot kicking at the robotic wreckage on the ground. There is a slow dissolve.
Several hours later, when all the scattered Justice Leaguers have reassembled to learn the details of each other's adventures...
We see Green Arrow, Flash, Superman, Batman, Black Canary, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, 2 of the Guardians, and Mark Shaw Manhunter, who is saying,
So, all the real Manhunters were androids. It was only the recruits they found since their exile who were men.
The Guardian replies, That is correct, Mark Shaw. As androids, they could not die of old age, though they could and did deteriorate across the centuries. First their honour, then their blue faces, and finally their mechanisms. The Grand Master was simply too brittle to withstand your blows.
So, I couldn't have murdered him because he was never alive.
Batman chips in with,
But you tried, just like you tried to murder me.
and then Flash calms things down as he says,
Maybe so, Batman, but you were tearing up Arinda when he tackled the Grandmaster. I was right next to Mark, and I think he's straightened out. Believe me, Batman, I have. All right, let's say I do believe you. Will you go back to being a public defender and stay out of our hair? Not in your life, not after learning what I've learned. I know more about justice after meeting all of you than I ever did as a lawyer, and I still have my uniform and training.
he gets a very significant close-up as he says,
If you're willing, I'd like to join the Justice League of America.
He should have. Wow.
We'll go back to that.
That would
Right,
have been great.
back to
yes.
dialogue, sorry. If you're willing, I'd like to make the Manhunter a real symbol of justice.
Superman seems to approve as he says, We're willing, Mark. If you don't mind our checking up on you from time to time. Then one of the Guardians says,
Good, then. The universe is once more secure, and we may return to Oa. Our other Green Lanterns can handle the remaining Manhunters.
and the other Guardian concludes, Farewell, Justice League. Our association has been Most pleasant. And they fade out with a little burst of green energy. Wonder Woman puts a hand on Mark Shaw's shoulder. He still looks huge and says, "We'll send you back to Earth, Mark, with our best wishes." And it seems as though she's directing him to the transport device, because we can see the energy of that rippling in the background as Wonder Woman then crosses to Green Lantern and says, "And now we can all lie back and relax for about a day." GL replies, "No, Diana, we can't relax yet. No matter what I try, I can't contact Aquaman, Elongated Man, or the Atom. We have to find out what's wrong."
You'll find out what's wrong and a whole lot more in a super-length Lollapalooza entitled Return from Forever on sale the first week in February, and it's not a story we're going to be covering.
Unfortunately, but there you go, folks. Go out and buy a copy of 142 if you want to read and see what happens next. Well then, let's just recap all of that. Some masterful weaving together from Mr. Englehart, bringing in Green Lantern issue 40, yes. The history of all of the Manhunters apart from Dan Richards.
Yes.
At this point.
Nearly,
But the Millennium crossover did do that. And managing to tie up why Wonder Woman had been a bit grumpy for a few weeks.
Yes, that's, again, wonderful, as you said, wonderful characterization, weaving all that together, because the Wonder Woman mystery has turned up in quite a few episodes we've covered around this series. I'm glad we finally got there. But the return of the Darlu, the alien trapped inside the Justice League computer, was hilarious.
I don't think I've read that story. I'm pretty sure I've got the issue. Is that the one when Hawkman and Flash are sort of splitting off?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever read it, though. I'll read it now.
It's been a long time since I've read it. From what I remember, in that issue, the Darlu's kind of like defeated and can only be calmed down if he's placed inside the Justice League computer, and basically lives in the Justice League computer.
Oh, wow. Okay. Because obviously.
And I think they put him back here, and it's never seen again. So when the Justice League satellite is destroyed in future,
spoilers.
The only casualty that is never mentioned is the Darlu. I'm just saying.
Poor the Darlu.
We'll pour one out for the Darlu when that happens.
Maybe when we write our DC comic, we can do a JLA JSA crossover that explains that the Darlu got rescued. Or maybe the JSA and the Legion of Superheroes could maybe be involved as well. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yes, maybe. The Darlu. Listeners, we'll probably put at least one panel of the Darlu on the socials this week just so you can get a look.
I'll be honest, I could be wrong. The Darlu might have returned. The Darlu might have got out of the computer and lived a wonderful life, but I can't recall a single story. Listeners, if you know,
yes,
if there's a different fate for the Darlu, please get in touch. We'll give you the address at the end of the show.
Yeah, someone let us know and we'll read it out at Redley's convenience. It's quite a lot to take in across all this. I mean, there's a little bit of padding here and there. And I'll always admit to being slightly dissatisfied when all the big plot points are just delivered by exposition in one speech from someone.
In fairness, if anyone's going to deliver exposition, it should be a Guardian of the Universe. Because they are all-seeing, all-knowing, and also it was Confessions of a Guardian time.
Sure.
He should have been, like, talking to a priest, saying, we did this bad thing, this is all our fault. Any chance you could help us out here?
Yeah, lucky white heather, Governor. Yes, it's kind of mind-blowing because we've talked a little bit in recent months about how things were getting a little bit more Marvel-y.
Yeah.
With sort of more efforts of continuity and bringing things together. And we'd seen some elements of that in issues of All-Star Comics and Freedom Fighters and especially in Secret Society.
Yeah.
And stuff in Justice League. But it's not quite a retcon.
No, it's building, yeah.
But this is some proper tapestry weaving, and it works really, really well, I think.
Yeah. The weird thing is, all the Manhunter stuff before this has been very grounded in Earth. I mean, from the original Private Detective, Paul Kirk Manhunter, to the replacement, Rick Nelson, First Action Adventure, Big Game Hunter, Manhunter, to the Paul Kirk, Big Game Hunter, Manhunter, because I say they're two different guys. Right through it, the Dan Richards, again, he's a beat cop, it's all these Manhunters, and Mark Shaw, again, lawyer, with this secret society, as far as we know, on Earth, of people that fight for justice, but that's what they do. But nothing about it so far has been in any way cosmic, and this blows it all open and says this is a huge cosmic cover-up conspiracy. It's very 70s, actually, having a big cosmic cover-up conspiracy. And it's all the better for it.
You're absolutely right. I mean, everything has been so grounded. Even all of the stuff in the Archie Goodwin, Walt Simonson one was, whilst it was quite heightened and very advanced, it was still... There was no aliens. It was ancient societies and stuff.
Again, society conspiracy.
Yeah, was that sort of schism away from the Grandmaster's mob or something? I'm sure that the events of Millennium everything there will probably tie that all together. Yes, listeners, we're all going to have to go and reread Millennium tonight just to get a bit more on this. But no, you're right. The cosmic thing's fascinating. It's such a good juxtaposition to everything that's gone before.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think I said this earlier on when we were talking about 140. I just love how it did it by bringing in the Mark Shaw guy and the old guy before him and tying it all into everything. I mean, it was immaculately done.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what happens next to Mark Shaw. What's going to happen next? Listeners, we know we're going to do them, don't we?
Yes.
It's very interesting. I mean, this could be another set-up for another Manhunter series, almost, really. There's...
Should be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just because, the Grandmaster's blown up and all that doesn't mean to say that Mark couldn't. As he says, he's got his uniform and his training. He could still, he does say as much, I'd like to make the Manhunter a real symbol for justice. So let's see if he does. Listeners, wink to camera.
I'm genuinely surprised that they didn't suggest membership for the League Forum on a professional basis. That way they could keep an eye on him and make sure things. Because one thing I am utterly convinced of is the fact that Superman invited Firestorm to join the League. This is in the future, pretty much because he's an incredibly powerful character. He seems to be like a carefree teenager, but he also seems to have voices talking to him in his head. This guy could be really dangerous. Let's get him in the League and we can keep an eye on him and hopefully guide him in the right direction. I will die on that hill. Yeah. They need to keep an eye on Firestorm.
I agree with you.
And this is another thing. And also, do you not think it'd be a very Avengers-like thing? Is it like this antagonist, this person that's kind of a semi-ally at the end of the adventure? It's like, you should maybe join us.
Yes. So many Avengers were ex-crims.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, shout out to Steve Englehart for writing a huge amount of brilliant Avengers stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the Avengers Defenders War. He was writing West Coast Avengers when I first started reading it. I spent my 39th birthday on the megabus back up from London reading Englehart West Coast Avengers. I'm a big fan.
Lost in Space Time is one of my favourite Avengers runs of all time. It's just wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Do we do a Steve Englehart Avengers gallery this week, listeners? I don't know. We'll see how much
could do.
Other bonus material I've got. Possibly. That would be a lot of fun. I'm sure Ross would like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really interesting one. I don't have too much to add because ultimately what it does is very straightforward and very simple. It just does it in an awful lot of pages with a few red herrings and a few twisty-turny bits and quite a concise cast, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone reading first issue, special issue 5, or even reading any of those adventure comic stories that were getting reprinted in the early 70s would have thought, the Guardians are involved in this.
Yeah. Bringing back the predecessor to Mark Shaw as well was a really nice touch. It's like, here's the old guy again.
He's one I can rely on, not like you, Mark Shaw.
Poor Mark Shaw.
It's great fun. But lovely bit of continuity without over-egging it.
Yeah, and enough was sort of told. We got all that we needed. There weren't huge amounts of flashbacks to the 40s stories or anything like that.
Yeah.
There weren't even any real flashbacks to the first issue special.
Yeah.
It was all done quite concisely and quite carefully.
Mm-hmm.
You'd almost think that Englehart, who was still in his 20s at this point, so many young guys writing amazing stuff in these years in the mid-70s, he obviously knew what he's doing. One thing I'm really pleased about is that Hal Jordan realising he didn't blow up that planet and kill everyone.
Yes.
I'm glad that was sort of cleared up.
Did you have the same thought when you reread this story and think about Cosmic Odyssey and Jon Stewart accidentally destroying Xanshi?
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't read Cosmic Odyssey. I haven't read Cosmic Odyssey. I've got it over there. No, absolutely. There was future echoes, to coin a phrase. Yeah, very much so.
One of this story is maybe inspiration for that.
Who can say?
Jim Starlin, if you're listening, please let us know.
Yes, please let us know. Or Mike Mignola, if you're listening, please let us know. And another thing that was fun about this story was just the world's finest team working together and having each other's back and being proper buds.
Yeah. I liked in the first issue of this, it's basically Superman says, you two go back and Batman and I will hang out here because obviously, we're chums.
Yes.
And work well together and have done for years. So. And
that nice bit when Soups has to, you go away, I'll be all right, save yourself. That bit was good. I like that sort of thing. And Batman being like, okay then, I don't want to, all right. That was very satisfying.
And Project Kappa, the Superman hunter.
Yes.
A kryptonite suit.
Yeah.
So that was horrible, but very effective. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Soups did seem to bounce back from it quite easily, which is another good thing.
The way Alan Partridge would.
Yes. I wonder if Project Kappa will ever turn up again. We'll have to wait and see. Right. Shall we jump to the contemporary correspondence?
Yes, let's do so. Let's jump on into the JLA mailroom in issue 145. And the first letter says, Dear Editor, I've been quietly sitting out Steve Englehart's first few JLA issues, waiting for him to do something that would knock me out. Well, his warm-ups are over. JLA issue 141 was it. The most exciting and brilliant issue of JLA in ages. What Steve does that's so fantastic is that he just ignores the Gardner-Fox years of JLA. Now, I think Fox was a genius, and his JLA was certainly the best product of the 60s, but darn it, every JLA writer since then has been imitating him. Unless Gardner should come back, I say let's move on, which is exactly what Steve is doing. The 66-page two-parter in JLA's issue 140 and 141 is one of the most difficult pieces I've ever attempted to critique, though it's one I'd kick myself for letting it by without comments. I call it an epic because the Manhunters' origin and defeat by the JLA and Guardians is not only enormous on a physical scale, taking up half the universe if I read it right, but it's also such an enormous personal story. Sheesh! It was the scariest story of justice gone awry that I've ever seen. I've never seen the JLA more forceful or vital, though I was disappointed when Steve split the members into such uninspired teams as Superman and Batman, Green Lantern, Green Arrow and Black Canary. I was startled to see him prove why each time is such a legend. The subplot starring the world's finest team was the most exciting and leaves no doubt as to how Superman and Batman could share a magazine for over 20 years with such success. The GLGA-BC segment proved that although each character is growing, they aren't outgrowing each other. They're better together than ever. The Flash Wonder Woman subplot perhaps deserves the most comment. Like Steve, I have noticed a stagnation in the Scarlet Speedster. Once the darling of the avant-garde, he's lately become a boring house husband. I dispute this. Now Barry realises it himself, with the exotic Wonder Woman making him more and more aware of it. Hopefully Steve will develop Flash into a more fully rounded character. And Wonder Woman! Steve's scene with the Amazon Princess seemed to fairly spark. Her desperate apology to the unconscious Flash as she worked to save his life was great. It's about time that someone remembered that Diana was merely human for a long, long time. And even though she's now a Wonder Woman again, she's still susceptible to human failings and prejudices. But just when we're beginning to think Diana is too human, she tenderly promises to Darlu that she'll see to it that she's freed, which is a loving, respectful trait that sets Wonder Woman apart from every other superhero on Earth. The conclusion was exciting, and thankfully we were spared any obnoxious moral statements. The few that were implied were quite good. No need to spoil them. And that's from longtime letter hack Bob Rory from Oak Brook, Illinois.
Yep. Editorial response reads, each time we sit down to do a mailroom on a Steve Englehart story, we are astonished by how much more mail there was since the previous one. Mr. E has been winning plaudits from everybody, and our only regret is that we have only one page to print a mere sampling of the letters. BR, the next letter then reads, Dear Editor, due to a mix-up, JLA's 140 and 141 hit the stand simultaneously here, and I'm glad they did. Seeing how it was a two-parter, I could never have lasted a full month waiting for the second part. Steve Englehart has written a JLA epic the likes of which has never been seen before. He's just what the JLA deserves, a writer able to portray the depths and intricacies of the relationships between the JLA members and their villains, all the while weaving plots, subplots and storylines into works of art. Yes, you'd almost think he'd had a good turn at writing a big superhero team before. The heroes have at last been revealed as somewhat less than perfect humans. Witness Wonder Woman explaining to Flash that her own chauvinistic behaviour was due to the JLA's concern for her loss of confidence. After reading this, it actually felt like a load of guilt was lifted from my own mind. The same holds true for the relationship between Green Lantern and the Guardians. GL's sense of duty, which had never been questioned before, was put to the test when he was ordered to act as a Green Lantern against his own feelings of guilt. And what of the Guardians versus the Manhunters? Only Steve could have woven Kirby's corrupted creation with the Green Lantern Corps origin, made a study of both concepts of justice and manner of enforcement, and done so without crowding or contrivance. My congratulations on a story well done. And that's from Tony Nichols, Eugene, Oregon. Response says,
Since you enjoyed Steve's handling of Jack Kirby's Manhunters, keep an eye out for the way he handles Mr. Miracle when it returns to the DC ranks in the middle of June. And by the way, Englehart fans, you can check out Steve's version of the Batman in every issue of Detective Comics, and every one of those is a winner, folks.
Absolutely.
That was from Bob Rozakis. There we are.
Well then, that was fun.
What an epic.
That was an epic. We haven't had a big long epic like this for a long time. So we hope you enjoyed it, listeners.
Yes.
Lots of work went in. We enjoyed every second of it. Enjoyed the post of this one very much. Fascinating. Listeners, I have no idea what we're doing next week, so we have to go and decide that now. Isn't that right, Peter?
It most certainly is. Now, if you've enjoyed this story, why don't you write to us and tell us what you think? If you're planning on doing a Millennium reread, why don't you write to us and tell us all about it? We'll tell you what crossovers you can skip. You can also tell us how disappointing you felt the new Guardian series was after Millennium. Anyway.
Yeah, shout out Gavin for buying some recently from our 50p boxes.
Yeah. If you want to do that, you can email us at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media because David does a wonderful job of putting up lots of lovely bonus content for this and, of course, every episode.
Thank you, dear.
On Facebook, Instagram and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth 2 Podcast, and on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2. And it is, of course, the number 2 for all of our socials.
If you're enjoying what we're doing and you're feeling generous, please consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcast and leaving us a positive review. Such things are good for our optics, etc. We seem to have drawn quite a few new listeners recently, which is lovely. So if you've only started listening to the show in recent weeks, thank you for joining us very much so. We appreciate it. If you're feeling super generous, you could find your way to our coffee page on our Linktree and buy Peter the price of a beverage, and that would be amazing. Right. Oh, Manhunter City, New Jersey. That was great fun. This is the stuff. We're cooking now. We really are. We have now reached 1977. We'll be moving forward now. 77 is just as busy as 1976. So we'll see how long it takes us to get through there.
It's going to be all over the place, folks, but bear with us. We do have a plan. Kind of, sort of.
We've got a big list and we're working our way through it. Don't you worry. We're paying attention.
Yeah.
But yes, on that bombshell.
I've been Peter.
I've been David. We'll see you soon on
The Earth 2 Podcast.
No man escapes the Manhunters.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
You will not fail again, young Manhunter, or Manhunter Prime will consider you his
I'll say that, rephrase that with different emphasis.
Balnathan Ragmaton! What?
I don't know.
Balnathan Ragmaton! Then the
Balnathan
universe...
Ragmaton supported the Montrose Avenue at Leeds Cockpit in the final tour.